Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Quiv has a new video out.
There's my. Oh, I got it. Let's get this rolling. Let's see. Are we live? Let's see. I guess so. Live?
I hear something.
I heard something. Yep, we're live. Just try to find.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, cool. We are on. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
Happy holiday weekend, Friday.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. Right? Did it do something it wasn't supposed to do? I hope I did.
Well, it kicks. You had the pre-show up, and then when you started, it kicks everybody off that and has to send you. Everybody's got to go out and come back into the different.
Gotcha.
So hopefully everybody's figuring that out because the other screen froze, and they'll be going, "What happened?"
What happened?
And they'll go out and come back in. Matt Draxler already knew.
Yeah. So yeah, so what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Memorial Day. Or I shouldn't say happy, but it is Memorial Day weekend. Let us not forget why we have Memorial Day weekend, to remember our fallen heroes who died and gave up their lives for in service of our country during wartime and in conflict. So yeah, and on behalf of everybody here, thank all of our men and women for in the armed forces for their service, and for those who to their families who made the ultimate sacrifice. We're with you and we remember you. So yeah. But it is now unofficially start of summer too. Isn't that crazy? So where does the time fly?
Yeah. And it was like in the low 60s here today. So it's like, wow, it's supposed to be summertime. It was like,
I know
we're getting a late spring.
it's crazy. I know. So but it's a long weekend. Maybe folks are out there playing some ball, gonna watch some baseball, or some spring football or whatever, get the barbecues rolling, all that stuff. So yeah. See here. I think we've got everything. I'm not seeing the updated chats for some reason.
They're coming in.
Oh, they're coming in. Hey
I
there,
see them.
Bob.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, Bob. Hey, there's Tom and Norm and everybody. So happy to have everybody on here. And yeah, it's looking forward to our discussions like we have every Wednesday and Friday. And we're going to continue our discussions that we had from this past Wednesday, as well as we're going to announce our image of the week. And I believe we never even announced our image of the month for last month. So at least I don't recall we did, for April. So we're going to announce our image of the month winner as well. So yeah. Did
That's
Dan
a
say
groovy.
anything about getting his remote data yet? No, I briefly have chatted with Dan over the, on and off the past couple of days, with him being in jury duty and federal jury duty. I have, yeah, and I said duty again. I said it twice. Um, but I have no idea how long or even what type of trial he's a juror for. All I know is he's in federal court, so who knows how long it is going to be. Um, as far as the data from Starfront and when it's going to be available. Because I know he's probably not even halfway home yet, coming from Brooklyn, heading from Brooklyn, coming back from Brooklyn to Long Island and stuff like that. He was telling me he has to drive, then from a 30 or 40 minute, like a 30-minute drive, then he has to take like a 40-minute train ride, then walk 10 minutes to the courthouse and then back. So it's just like,
See, that in itself should have been like, I can't sit on jury duty and do this. I have a job and other things I do. I can't afford to
I have
waste
a business to run.
3 hours both ways,
Yeah.
to come to court.
Yeah, I mean, I have a
Find
business
somebody
I'm
that
running
lives
and all this
closer.
stuff. Yeah, really though. Summon someone else, you know, someone that's closer to the courthouse or something, but my,
God,
it's like nuts. Um,
Jesus.
so yeah, and I have realized I was telling the guys, I put the Edge 11 out on the Mighty Mount and trying to get it balanced, and realized very rapidly that I need another counterweight. So I ordered another counterweight, and those counterweights from Software Bisque are not cheap. So we'll see how long that takes, and then get the and hopefully I'll be able to get this OTA balanced and everything. Because even pushing it to the very edge of the counterweight bar with two weights did not work. So
Because it's
um,
too fat.
yeah,
You might be on the wrong chat.
I may be on the wrong chat. Okay, well, let me close out here because I see a bunch of other.
The latest comment is from Dave Schaefer with thumbs up, and now
Yeah,
it's
LC19.
yeah. Hello,
Okay.
Matt.
I want to know because I'm seeing there's a couple here like Minotaur and Tom and Wilfredo.
They haven't come back in yet.
They're on the wrong chat. They're not in the live stream.
Yeah, they're not.
They'll be in eventually. They'll
Yeah.
figure it out. There's Gideon. He figured it out.
Yeah, I think when I bought my my stainless steel weights from ADM, they were some of the last ones I think that they were actually manufacturing, and I got a pretty good deal on them, but they were still very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're stainless steel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna
15.
weigh
I
well.
think they're a little over 15 pounds, something like that.
These are 20. Yeah, it's like 20 pounds, and they run, I want to say, um the whole thing ran like 450. Well, that was with shipping.
You
So
mean the 120-pound weight was $450?
yeah, including shipping. Yep.
Oh
That
man,
including ground shipping.
you don't even want to know what I paid for mine. You'll cry.
I'll cry. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I will cry. So it's okay. So
Wow.
it's fine. Let me go here. There's everybody. So yeah, everybody likes to see me cry. I don't know why. Everybody
Well, just
rush on.
just think you got such a good deal on that mount. It's no big
Yeah,
deal to
so
buy
it's
an
not a
extra
big deal,
counterweight.
really, to buy another counterweight. No,
You got, it came with two.
it came with one. It comes with one. I ordered another before the mount arrived and thought two was going to be enough. But when I got this Edge 11, I figured, two should be fine. 20, 40 pounds should be fine.
Huh.
No, 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 no. No, Consuelo. No, 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 Consuelo.
It just sucks because that bar is an inch and a half thick. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's a thick
oh,
sucker. Yeah, it's a thick sucker. Yeah.
It's a stainless steel bar.
oh yeah. Well, my bars are stainless steel too, but they're probably only an inch thick,
Yeah.
maybe even 3/4 inch. You know.
Oh, really? They sell a shaft extension too. I wonder how much the shaft extension would have cost me versus the counterweight. So,
I think I'd rather have the extra counterweight.
yeah, that's
Although you got a pier, so it's not going to the extension not going to hurt you.
not gonna matter anyway. But yeah. But but no, I did get periodic error correction going, I think yesterday. And this is something in let me see if you guys wanted to, if anybody is using the Mighty Mountain stuff like that, I'm gonna share my screen.
I know Norm has one, so I'm
Norm
just
has
seeing
one. So let
if Norm
me
gets in. Norm's in there, so yeah, see what Norm says.
yeah, so let me bring up share my screen here really quick. So share. And let me here. Tools, BISC, TCS. And there's expand this a little so so you can see it. So I was really surprised. They said peak to peak was 8.4 arc seconds. And I was going, and I'm only using I've got the FLT 91. I was using the main camera, as an auto guider to do the PEC training. Well, I was just auto guiding. No, I wasn't even auto guiding. It was all unguided. And I did it for like 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes or so. I watched a Netflix show while it was doing it. And and then I came back, I saved the log, of course, and then I dropped the log into here, the auto guider log into here, told it was pointing west of the meridian, and fit it. And it came up with this. I did several T models. If I can go to the T model here, my T point module. I've done more than that. Pointing data. Yeah, it got up to 249. And then I did a recalibration, um, and now it's only 50, but the original I did about 250 points. So yeah. Um, and I believe, yeah, I need to turn on the Pro Track. So now, my predictions. I've got it all set here. And I've saved it to it. Question: Paramount Mount programming, does it have any conflict with other programs? Don't know. I know it doesn't, Nina, it doesn't use the T points much or anything like that, but I don't believe so. And I'm plan on using, the PEC model here, the PEC train. So it's applied, and then here under PhD 2, I set the algorithm to predictive PEC for the right ascension. So that way, because I read that they're supposed to work together, the predictive PEC and the PEC training that you've done to the mount is supposed to work together, having they're dependent upon one another. So that's where it's at right now. And then I'll run my image, everything, get things rolling, because right now I'm working on something simple. I'm doing the Leo trio. You don't need PEC. I have never done one. Interesting. Norm, if your setup is permanent, you have lots of points, no guiding required.
Norm,
Yeah,
what
no.
Norm, do you use PhD 2, Norm?
I think he uses everything out of the SkyX, if I'm not mistaken, if Norm was telling me. But
I was just curious how he guides. I mean, if he's
Yeah.
using PhD 2 guiding. If he is, what
Yeah.
algorithm are you using?
Yeah.
SkyX for guiding.
Yeah, he uses
There you go.
SkyX. Yeah, because I was yesterday, well, last night when I was grabbing the Leo triplet, my guiding was higher than I thought it should be. The RMS was between 0.8 and at times 1.2 arc seconds. So I was like, something's not right here.
Yeah, I thought so too, Paul. His PE curve looks a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think something.
Typically, your PE curve should be a like a single sine wave.
Yeah, I thought so.
Not
Right?
those peaks and then going down. And
Yeah, I thought so. But so what I'll probably do is maybe I'll just go back to PhD 2, stop it, turn off PEC, and you go back to the default hysteresis and everything, and then run a guiding assistant and take a look. Because yeah, I mean, he guides at 0.1, to 0.10 to 0.15 on an
that's
average.
pixels, but that's
Yeah,
still
but
gonna be less than 0.5 arc seconds.
yeah, so I'm doing something wrong. So it's all about learning though. So
Double checked your
Says be
color
sure
alignment.
your pro track is always on.
and it's on. Road track is on. Heck, makes your guiding better, but in my opinion, it's absolutely not needed to get proper guiding.
Yeah, I don't necessarily use it all the time.
Sometimes I'm glad I have an inferior amount. Well, we'll figure it out. It's all good. So, as I said, we'll do image of the week. And I thought I may, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, everybody in the chat. I don't know if we announced image of the month
I don't
last
know if we
week.
did.
I don't believe so. So, we'll announce image of the month. For April, we'll announce the winner of that as well. So we've been talking over the past couple of days about building mounts, staying within a certain budget, and
Rigs.
thank you, certain rigs, and I relegate myself to bed. Um, and we've come to the realization that $1,500 for a good setup, brand new, it's probably not feasible. More along the lines of 3,300
Yeah,
was
three to 4,000 at least.
yeah. So, and what we built was we built the mount was the Ioptron CEM60. We had the Skywatcher Quattro 150, I believe. We had a 585 camera auto guy, we had an OAG. We checked that out. We also checked out it with a Starfield 30 millimeter guide scope. We tried with all these different things and we still needed, and what put us over the $3,000 mark, this was not including taxes, what put us over was the Stella Vita. The Stella Vita put us basically over the 3 grand mark, because you need the computer to run things unless you just want to run things from your laptop or something like that. But the but I would say 3 grand, we hit basically that mark, with the exception of the computer. So I thought we did pretty darn good. Now that means that is a very lightweight mount. It's travel friendly, um, and the entire setup was pretty travel friendly. One of the things about you buying something like that 150, I believe it's a 6-inch Newtonian, is it was the least expensive one. And what we talk about a lot, is, from Pete, was buy once, cry once, and that Newtonian, while it was a very good price, you will eventually want to start upgrading pieces to it. Like the biggest one would be the focuser. You'd have to get a new focuser on that to replace that you want to put a decent focuser on there. Norm says if you truly want to if you truly want to get to budget, need the Skywatcher 2i or the GTI, a DSLR lens, and a red cat and the basic camera. Yeah, pretty much. David, I would suggest a rig using a Rokin 135 with an autofocuser, a 533 on top of a Star Adventure GTI. That's another. So because if I'm not mistaken, I've got this whole setup. Be right back.
It disappears into the nebulosity.
Yep, I disappeared into the nebulosity. Okay, I'm back. So you have something like this. Whoops. Did I? Yep, I did. I popped it off. Okay. Not a big deal. But you have something like this set up with a Rokinon 135 and this is my 432, but you can use a 533 into with this with an EAF or maybe like a focus cube or something like that and go that route. And definitely you can put this on a Vixen mount, on a Vixen dovetail rather, and then put it on a small mount. This will get you under 3 grand.
Yeah, probably get you under 2 grand.
Oh yeah. So piece popped off. It's all good. I'll find it. Yeah, there we go. So It's not I just gotta put that back together. So yeah. So something like this, you can definitely, set this up with a Vixen and still get a decent mount for it, or get that start adventure, and away you go on something like this.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, when you're thinking about budgeting, you got to think about what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do really, really wide field, then yeah, broken out and something like that is fine. If you want to get a picture, it's as close up as the pictures in our backgrounds, you need more than a Rokinon. And you got to think about it. If that's what you want to do, then you need to start researching and figuring out what kind of budget you're going to need.
Yep. So something like this going. We're up. Put a dovetail on this guy and then set it up, and you'll be all set. But yeah. There we go. That's better. Too far back.
Not high-res planetary. Yeah, well, the cameras are less expensive, but the OTAs are not.
Here you go. Yeah, something like this. And this is very easy to travel with. You put a 585 on here instead of this, or a 533, and you can, for the 585, you should be able to get row Fucus, the Blue Horsehead, M8 and M20. You can get you can get a lot of deep sky objects. Andromeda would absolutely be no problem. And you put a small 30 millimeter guide scope on here, and set this up, and you'll be totally good.
Oh, Danny's on the chat.
Who that there? Saying, "What's up, peeps?" So yeah. This would be something definitely under that $3,000 mark, where you can get a lot of good equipment, new equipment. No, because the Rokinon itself, it's about $450, and then the camera, like a 585, a color 585, you're talking about another $550 to $600. And from here, then you buy this setup. The EAF is about $200 or $250, something like that. The 3D printed setup, you can find these. I believe Buckeye Stargazer, I think, builds these, as well as there's several others. But you can have this type of a setup, having autofocusing, put a guide scope on here, and you'll be ready to roll. And put this on a nice little mount. So now that we've talked a little bit about the budgetary or smaller rigs, around that $3,000 mark, let's talk a little bit more. Let's go bump up a little bit more, and let's bump up our budget. Let's double our budget. If we double our budget to 6,000, we definitely should be able to. We're going to be able to set up a nice rig that gives you everything you need. And no, it's not a plain wave L500. So no. But let's set our budget to double that. So we're going to go to 6,000. And from there, let's go to Scott's budget. Oh, sure. Let's go to Scott's budget.
Sky's the limit.
Come on, there are guys out there that have got more in their rig than I do.
Yeah, but Scott's
Yeah,
probably
Adam Block. It's got Adam Block's budget.
Adam doesn't, but see, Adam's budget is Mount Lemon's budget because he doesn't actually have his own stuff. He uses.
Well, he does now.
He just put a scope in Chile.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Huge CDK. What was it, 24, right?
Yeah, it was a massive scope.
Yeah.
Okay.
CDK 24 and like this fork mount that's like the size of my garage. It's
it took a crane to put it in there.
Oh my gosh. Man.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, probably $250,000.
Yeah, probably.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. That's just crazy.
Because he's hustling everybody at ping pong and winning all that money.
The cheapest
table tennis
would be not to buy gear and just rent telescope time on one of those sites.
Sure, you can do that.
Sure, you can definitely do that. You can most certainly do that. You can use iTelescope or Telescope Live and a lot of other sites, and definitely do that if you.
But you don't get the enjoyment of the frustration of going out and having to fix a problem. That's part of the fun.
Part of the
part of the fun is when you go one night, you're imaging all night, and you're like, the next night you do it to turn everything on and nothing's working, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah, even that thing. But then you can't suffer. I mean, learn.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, one of the best for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other folks, one of the best parts of this hobby is the mistakes you make and learning from the mistakes and still getting out great results. I mean, it's not an easy hobby. It's not a cheap hobby, but spending the time to use your noggin. I mean, me, the more I use my brain, I think the healthier I am.
Yeah. Like Dave said, you can download free data from NASA if you really want.
Yeah, if you could.
You can process James Webb.
Yeah.
Data.
Yeah, you totally could. I mean, you can process and do all that and learn the whole bit as far as processing and everything, but it's not the same.
No, it's not getting it yourself, which really, that's what gives, at least me, it gives me that I love that part of it.
Mitchell's saying viewers want to see what can be done with various equipment. This is just one-sided talk. Okay. Fair. Now, various equipment, I mean, we all use different types of equipment, and we can definitely go and take a look at, looking at field of view, because we talked a bit about image circle. We talked a little bit about last week about, our different setups, and F ratio and going faster, slower, stuff like that. But looking at what we can do with different types of setups. And again, it really depends upon your goals, what you are interested in and what you really want to do. Because if you want to do deep sky, there's different rigs for that. If you just want to do planetary, you have so many things you can do with that and stuff. But it really just depends on what and how much time you want to devote to, imaging and imaging what you want to image. So there's that. Now, let me see here. Viewers want to see. So Mitchell, if there's what I'd like for you to share a little bit, if you can, Like, are there particular pieces that you would be interested in? Are you looking if because we can throw out different types of we can throw out different fields of view, different types of setups and stuff like that. But but again, it's all about the individual and what's in your plan and in your budget. I mean, guys, help me out here. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I
What Mitch
mean,
was saying.
you can go on Astrobin and search a billion photos, and it'll tell you the equipment that they use. And you can see all the different types of equipment used to get different types of, shots, as far as zoomed way into galaxies, or big wide open, getting RAW, or, the witch head, or, even doing Milky Way arch and stuff like that. I mean, and you can look at what they were using in order to capture those images to give you an idea. Okay, I need this equipment in order to do this kind of photography, or I need this equipment to do that kind of photography, and decide, okay, well, we gotta find a happy medium. A lot of things, we talk about the Schmitz and the edges. Nice thing about them, like Scotty knows, Scott's got one of the biggest Schmitz you can buy, but he's also got a thing called the Hyperstar, which takes that narrow field of view and blows it up like crazy. So it's very versatile telescope, but they're not cheap. They're expensive.
No.
And
the Hyperstar alone for that rig was $1,500.
Yeah, the Hyperstars are incredible pieces of equipment, but you get what you pay for. I mean, it's a great piece of equipment that costs a lot of money.
Yeah. And maybe we will take a look at having a much wider open forum where we have more people joining in from out, from within the chat, being, we have a big monthly thing, maybe like a big monthly get together or something. But man, you talk about the logistics of trying to keep people from talking over each other and stuff like that, I think would be nuts. It would be a challenge. That's all I can say. Luke has a nice vid comparing the C11 on a full frame versus an Apo 120 on a 585. I'll have to take a look at that. The FOV, the field of view is similar. Yeah. Because here, I'll give you, maybe I can give an example of something like that. Let me share my screen again. And let's go share to give maybe a bit of a perspective. And I'm going here. Let me minimize this guy. Minimize. What's that guy? Minimize. What I want to do is I want to get to these. Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to get to this. Let me see if I can open this up. All right. Load it up a bit. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this was 3-minute luminance from last night of the Leo triplet. Now, I have a C11, and the C11 I'm pairing that up with the 2600 mono. I also have a 91 an FLT 91 William Optics refractor, 4-inch refractor, and that's with a 585. I've also got the Edge 8 and using that with the 2600. I probably have already given this away, but looking at this field of view, this looks pretty zoomed in, right? This looks like a pretty darn narrow field of view, right? So what scope would you think that this would be from? just looking at it, being, you know, with this narrow field of view, with this narrow of a view.
I know what it's from.
I know what it's from. I'm asking other folks. Is this a seal? Would this be from a Schmidt, or would this be from a refractor?
Collimation's too good to be a Schmidt.
Ah, you can, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I do some great collimation with my Schmidt, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so is mine.
My collimation is awesome on my Schmidt. So how dare you, sir? So is this from a refractor, or is this from my Schmidt?
Nobody's answering.
Nobody's answering. I know. I should show both pictures then. Well, I don't have both pictures, but Norm's saying the Schmidt. All right. And you would think that, but unfortunately, it is not. This is actually from my FLT 91 and a 585. Small sensor. With a small sensor, you have a more narrow field of view. So let's just take a quick look at something here. Just so we can compare a couple of things. Let me open up astronomy.tools. So if I built this using my Edge 11, so Celestron, there it is, Edge 11 HD, come in.
You wouldn't be able to get it all in one shot like that.
That
I can't get all three of them in my 127.
Yeah. I just passed my Edge 11. There it is. Okay, so there's the Edge 11. And this is the Uranus C, which is 585. No, field of view. I'm looking at the wrong darn thing. Sorry, guys. Imaging mode. I'm going to go Leo triplet. M65. Edge HD. And we're going to do a 585. So there's a 585. And I'm going to simply, doesn't matter about binning, add to view. Now, if I use my reducer, let's see what if I use the reducer. I'm still not there because it's too far, it's too narrow a view. So even with a reducer, I can only go so far. Now, if I switch that out with the William Optics T91 and its native, none. There you go. There's a comparison. And this, I would just basically adjust the sensor to go from 180 degrees to 90 degrees, which is what I did to fit the hamburger galaxy into the shot. So basically that is the sensor rotated to 90 degrees to give you this. So it's all about, so one, it's about the equipment. It's about what you want to do. It's about how narrow or how wide you want to be. And yeah. So this is what I was able to do given with that refractor. And this having that smaller chip, which I'll say it again, narrows your view. Because if I would have used a 2600, say if I use a 2600, And if I did the same thing with Schmidt, I still wouldn't be able to fit it. Now, if I did with the reducer, and let's clear out the other, let's clear that out. Okay. That's with the 2600. So let's clear out everything else. I might be able to fit it, to squeak it in there. We're using a reducer, but again, using the different optics and stuff like that, it's all about, the equipment you're going to use and what you want to choose.
Well, and don't count out the, possibility of doing a mosaic. So
You can absolutely do a mosaic. Absolutely. So that you brought up a very good point there. So you cannot. Sometimes you can't get everything, depending on what equipment you have. You can't get everything in one shot. So, which is why you can stitch together mosaics to get to where you want, get that field of view that you want, and to get everything, all the targets in that you want to get in there. So.
no, yeah, Gideon, I would say no. Bigger isn't always better. It really isn't. I mean, I'm not going to use a 600 millimeter, lens, to do portrait work. Unless of course, I'm 75 feet back from my subject.
Right.
It's like that with any of my high-end prime lenses. I've got a 105, a Nikon 105 prime that, I mean, it's a absolutely fantastic f1 1.4, and yeah, but I gotta stand 25 feet from my subject.
Yeah. No, it's not always bigger isn't always better.
No.
So it doesn't, no. So Gideon, yeah. Not really.
Yeah, exactly right, Matt. Stalker portraits. That's exactly right. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
and I mean there are times when you do use something like that. I mean, that's more for like journalistic, you know. I have a 300 millimeter, f2.8 that is fabulous for doing journalistic work, where I've got a family that they want to have shots that are done naturally with their children, and they don't want to have a photographer, 5 feet from their kids taking pictures. And so I can put a lens like that on and I can reach in from another room
Right.
and accomplish the same kind of a effect, but I can do it discreetly from the background. It's the same thing with what you're doing here. You're not going to use a 14 a C14 to shoot, Andromeda. You're just not going to do it. You're gonna get the core, and that's it. you know. So I mean, it's target specific. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have the Schmidt, so that I could have deep and I could have narrow.
Mhm.
You know, it was for me, it was the best of both worlds. But a lot of these guys, they have multiple rigs. They've got 3, 4 different telescope rigs at different focal lengths for doing different kinds of work.
Mhm.
Bigger isn't always better. No, bigger is specific.
Yeah. Now Dan says he's shooting RAW with the Carbon Star. 16 panels?
Yeah, 600
Yeah.
millimeter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why I like, with RAW, that's why I like
That's
this.
16 panels with the 571 he's got.
That's why I like this. And then I'll put the 2600 on, or use a 6D, full frame, with the Rokinon. I don't know. Me, sometimes doing mosaics, I mean, I understand the reason behind mosaics and in doing mosaics, but for me personally, if I can get everything in one frame, then the happier I am.
Well, it makes it
It's
easier.
just me. It makes it easier. It makes it easier. I'm lazy. I'm the lazy. I'm like Jason. I'm another lazy astronomer.
Well, I don't have enough clear nights to do it.
Right.
It would
So
take me years to get something like that done.
yeah, it would take a bit. I mean, no, Dan's not going to do the processing. Sean's going to do the processing. Why would Dan do the processing when you got Sean? You've got Mr. Visible Dark that can do it for him.
I've never done mosaics, Matt. Processing mosaics would be interesting for me. I've never had to try.
Yeah,
And
I've never stitched one personally myself.
Now, granted, I'm sure the software now. I'm sure Frank from SETI Astro has a great script that does it for you pretty well. But
yeah, but there's also a certain amount of overlap, between the frames, so.
Well, correct. Yeah. But getting all the frames,
Oh yeah,
matched background and everything like that, so that when you do stitch them together, the last final bit of processing doesn't take as long.
Dan, why aren't you on? You're in the chat here. Why don't you just hop on?
because he probably looks like he's been rode hard, put to bed wet.
Probably so. being on the New York subways.
Says he's working.
Oh, he's working.
LOL.
Really? He's working. Uh-huh. Oh boy, here we go with moist again. It's always that way. Oh boy.
Yeah, Norm, that you make a good point. That's right. The PixInsight mosaic builder is pretty straightforward. As long as you've got good data, from each of your panels.
Yeah, that's it. At some point, I will try a mosaic. I'll use the Edge 11 and I'll build a mosaic, but I'm not sure what yet.
Do a 4-panel of Andromeda.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an absolutely stunning mosaic. Andromeda, 4-panel. Hello.
Yeah.
It's not too big.
And not too big.
Too small.
Too small.
It's just
right. Hello, Goldilocks. Yeah. So, we still have 35 minutes before we announce image of the week. But what we can do is announce last month's winner of image of the month. So why don't we do that? Why don't I cue that up here really quick?
Sure. Pull it.
Let's do that. I am going to do that here.
Hi, Gideon.
Gideon, have a good one.
It's morning probably for him.
Did I let him in?
Let him in.
Let him in. Let him in. Let him in. Let him in. Let me in. Let me in. All right.
Oh, and he's on his phone.
Men, let him in.
Yeah. Let me mute this. There you go. Yeah, no, I just came to say hi. I'm only showing my chin up because I'm indecent. So,
thank you. Thank you.
I don't want to give anybody shocks or anything, so all you get is a goatee and up. So,
You're so kind.
Appreciate that.
That's Bob Denny. There you go. How you doing, Bob? Sherry, I just wanted to make sure that the rumors of my death are not true.
I don't know if I go that far.
I'm still alive. I'm just New York is taking a bite out of me, and federal jury duty is no joke, and that's all I'll say about that. I'll be happy to say whatever I need to say when I'm done with it, but I just want to say hi to everybody, and I'll leave you guys to get to it. I know you guys are having a great conversation. You guys keep it rolling. I'm just exhausted, so I'm going to go do some McDonald's work. I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I'm going to go to bed.
That sounds like a good idea.
So thank you guys.
Hey, you got a 3-day weekend coming up, so you can chill for 3 days, right?
Well, I got to work tomorrow. I got to do McDonald's work tomorrow. And then I guess Monday I'm just going to take off. The hell with it. And then I got back to jury duty at 9:00 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Got to take the subway, the let's see, the car to the train, to the subway, to the walk, to the courthouse. So, yeah. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
couldn't find anybody that lived closer to the courthouse, could they?
Well, see, the thing is, apparently with federal court, you just go into a pool, and even though that there are different federal courts in New York, they don't choose what courtroom you go to, no matter where you live. They just pick you like out of a hat, and literally just throw you in whatever court they need you. So they ended up needing me in Brooklyn, so I'm in Brooklyn.
Wonderful.
You should have played the lottery. Is what you should have done. You kind of, with pulling out, since they're pulling out names and stuff like that, you probably had just as much luck winning the lottery as you did for jury duty.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got out of 4 or 5 times out of jury duty. I guess they just didn't want to hear it anymore, or they just loved me so much in the jury selection that they just had to have me. So.
Well, you have fun with real life Law and Order and / Narcos.
I will say I am learning a lot, and I will not want to live where these people live. That's all I'll say. But
don't let that 9 1/4 fall off that shelf behind you either.
Oh, that ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
That ain't going nowhere. It's fine. But all right, fellas, go do your thing. Thank you so much for picking up the slack this week. I'll keep you guys and everybody in the loop on when I'm finally free from my civic duty, and then
duty.
then I'll be back, throwing everything off the rails again. So
yeah, hey, don't forget to reach out to HF. She's got stuff for you.
Yeah, I'll tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't have to be tonight. That's fine.
Yeah, cool.
All right, man. Later,
guys.
Yep.
See you.
Thanks again.
All right. So let me share screen here again. Okay, so our novice bracket for April, we had 37 votes and 39 in experience, so pretty close to each other. But for our novice bracket, the winner is Keith Sisk. It's Keith Sisk and Keith Sisk. Take a pick. But no, it was Blood Moon. Your Blood Moon, Keith, won Image of the Month over your Saturn and Pac-Man Nebula. So 3 entries by Keith. So he was going to win no matter what. But which image was it going to be? And it was his Blood Moon. So congrats there, Keith. Keith, on your Blood Moon. We'll get that updated here on the website. So, all right. Now, for our experienced, at 39 votes, which is pretty low, but on an Image of the Month. But let's go for it. Let's see what we get here. And our winner is boom. Abel 85 by Greg Meyer. Dr. Greg, your Onion Nebula. So congratulations.
So if I'm not mistaken, Greg, you will have to pick one of your probably 3 pictures of the month to put in the calendar.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk to Greg about that, because if that's the case, then
Second place will go to
it would be
Mark.
Phoenix Astro would go to Mark for the Cone Nebula.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Greg and we'll make some choices there. But congratulations.
But we got time, because he might win 3 or 4 more, and he might have a better one he wants to choose from.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it all out at that time. But nonetheless,
he's in Arizona somewhere in a dark sky site this weekend.
Yeah, he is. He was showing. I saw the pictures. I saw pictures, I guess, from his drone of where he was at. So.
Oh, the picture I saw was him kicked back in an easy chair by.
Oh, that one. Oh,
yeah. It's like, must be tough.
Yeah, it
being
must
Dr.
be.
Greg Meyer.
It must be.
Living that hard life.
Yep. Shocking. I know, right? So, but yeah. I'll close that out. So we still have 30 minutes before we vote on for a picture of the week. So don't forget to go to AstroWorldWeb.com/IOTW to vote for image of the week. We did not have a novice this week, so I encourage our novice astrophotographers or our fellow astrophotographers, if you know someone else, maybe in your astronomy club, someone who's getting into astrophotography, and they'll be still considered a novice, point them our way. Let them get a chance to win some AstroWorld telescope money, so they can upgrade their rig. So don't forget to have our novice guys come on out here and give it a shot. You never know what happens. Like Keith, he went 3 for 3.
I'm gonna start putting an anonymous
anonymous out there,
something like that.
I thought about that one. I was thinking about that at one point too.
Pimp my rig.
Sure. You know what? We should look at Pimp My Rig again. We should look at doing that again. Another thing, don't forget also on AstroWorldWeb.com, we also have a Critique My Image folder. So if any of you all have images recently that you would like our input on, or our input from the chat on, drop those images into the Critique My Image folder, and we will take a look at those. So we would love to, help you guys out if you have any concerns, questions about those images that you guys are working on or have already worked on, and you just like, some constructive criticism.
Yep. That's how you grow.
That's how you grow. Yeah, Tom, I'm a novice. Greg and Adam Block are both better than me.
Yeah.
Greg and Adam Block are like better than most people. And because I still consider myself a novice. So, hey, especially with those two guys, that's like, me comparing myself or trying to compete with Obi-Wan and Yoda. So, no, it's not going to work. All right.
You said $6,000 budget, but we haven't talked
about it yet. So let's go to AstroWorldWeb.com, and we're going to start back up with the rig. So let me get AstroWorld back up. So AstroWorld telescope.
On Wednesday, I said let's look at a 600 millimeter doublet or triplet.
Yeah, that you did. So let's take a look at that too. So let's start out with the mounts, though. We've got EQ mounts and harmonics. Let me share my screen here. Good. So the most important piece is the rig. And so for this, I would say let's take a look at spending 50% perhaps on the mount. 50% of that. So if we're gonna spend close to $3,000 on a mount, we got different kind of mounts, we got tutorials. Let me see here. Why isn't it filtering? Why am I only seeing Explore Scientific? No, Dan, you've got more than this. And we've got our strain waves. So let's just go with these. We've got a warp astron here. That is a 17. And we got an 88, a 101. And let's just go with the 101.
Or the Wave 150.
Or the Wave 1. Yeah. Let's see one. Oh yeah, let's do the 150. So there's that. Let me clear up my card here.
Now that's the head only. You're gonna have to put a tripod in there.
Yep. Let me clear everything else out. Is this the head only?
I believe so. Most strain wave mounts are only the head, except for like the ZW. They give you the carbon fiber tripod. Or actually the carbon tripod is extra, actually, I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
The strain waves are, you buy the head, and then it's up to you to get a tripod for it.
Let's see.
So, yeah.
I'm just gonna throw a tripod, put a tripod on here for an example. So
Yeah, and I can tell you most of those tripods will work with any of those strain wave mounts.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. So
They all seem to have very similar mounting.
Okay. Okay. Go back, see. Why isn't it? Refresh the card. Okay. So we're just under $3,000. Now let's take a look at a refractor. And we talked about doublets, and there are quite a few Apo doublets, like such as this Starfield Optics ED80. That would work very well with that scope. So you have an ED80 f7, so that's about 560 millimeter focal length. Yep, 560 at f7. And if you wanted to, you could get I'm sure you could get a reducer for this if you wanted to make things a little faster. You could also take a look at possibly getting a pier, a tri-pier for that harmonic drive. So something to think about there. So what do we think about this here, Scott? This F7 ED80, or do you want to go a little bigger?
I mean, you could probably go I mean,
Is
if
that a triplet?
you look at the
That's a
look at
doublet.
what do the William Optics offer?
Let's take a look and see if we have any William Optics. Let's just do
He does.
Doesn't look like we have any William Optics here.
He does not.
It is not.
What about his Altair stuff?
Yeah, let's take a look there.
It just depends on what he's got on the website.
We have a 102, which I believe is a doublet.
Correct.
And let's see what else we have. Let me do a search for doublet. Okay, so here are our Apple chromatic doublets. Now we have to also remember when you do an Apple chromatic doublet, the light usually that's only going to be coming in is red and blue, and so you sometimes are going to end up having purple fringing. So you will have to get
Well, it's because the red and the green will focus to one point. It's the blue that will not focus on that same point.
Thank you.
So, but if you're shooting in monochrome, then it doesn't matter because then you can focus those appropriately in each channel.
So we have several options here from Skywatcher, Starfield. We have a 102 for 1100. See what other ones we got. The triplet. Those are all triplets. So let's go with. I'm trying to stay with.
Are we staying with a doublet? We don't want to
We
look
can take
at
a
triplet.
look. We can look at the triplets too, but for looking at considering cost, triplets are always going to be more expensive. So, but let's just do a quick look. You do have quite a few more choices. But again, your prices will start going up. And don't forget, we also want to keep in mind our mount, but we're looking at the 150 here. So we can reduce that down.
And we're looking at 600 millimeters is what we want to find. I mean, a great starting size refractor for me, I think, is 80 or 90 millimeter.
Mm-hmm. Like this Altair here. You have this one here. This is an F6. It's a little bit faster. And I want to take a look at a couple.
What was the one up above it? They had another one up above it. The Starwave 80 ED2. That's only $1,200. That's a triplet.
That's a triplet. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. This is a triplet. FCD 100. This is Hoya 100 ED. Let's see. Look at the specs here. Only weighing 3 kilos, so just maybe about 7 pounds.
480 millimeter focal length.
Yeah. I think this comes with a hard case, folks. I think this is a good choice. Now, with something like this being that light, let's take a look at the 100 Star Wave, the Skywatcher Wave 100. Save ourselves a little bit.
Right, but I mean, the 150 is going to give you room to grow in case you want
It
to go
will.
a bigger telescope. You don't have
It
to
will.
buy a different mount.
Take a look at the two different prices here. Okay, we're fine. So we'll stick with the 150. We're at 4,000, a little bit over 4,000, with a nice travel refractor. Nice. So we're building up here a really nice travel lightweight setup that you can take almost anywhere, pretty much anywhere with you. So for something like this, let's also take a look. So if we have an 80 ED, and was this an F6?
F6, you're going to want a flattener.
Yep. So we're going to want to find a flattener, or so
Doesn't necessarily have to be a reducer, but at least a flattener.
have a flattener, right?
That's the issue with.
Let's just
Now,
keep
Altair probably makes a reducer flattener for that telescope.
That's what I'm looking to see. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, let's do a search.
Oh, so there's a one time, so you don't lose any.
You don't lose any focal length.
That's for the 102.
Is this? You look at this is for the star wave. That's for the reducer.
So it's 0.8.
That's 0.8. See if they have a flattener. There's a straight flattener, and it doesn't look like it. So there's a reducer for star wave. It's at 180. So at 4250 so far. So far, so good. So we've got our optics here. We got a reducer, and we have our mount and our tripod. Now, let's take a look at and make a decision on what do we want to image. Do we want something that's more wide field? So we're looking at the 2600 or something like that, or are we looking or the 571, or are we looking at the 585 or 533? So let's just take a look and see if I go back to astronomy.tools and let's clear some stuff out here. And let's just look at Andromeda. And I don't believe we have any owns here. Star Wave. Just want to make sure.
That's it.
Okay. All right. And this was a 0.8. And if we wanted to go with a 2600, an APS-C sensor, and let's clear these out. Maybe I'm going to be able to fit M31 in there just fine with a 26 with a 571.
You're definitely going to want to angle it, but yeah, it'll fit.
But you can it'll fit. Because if we went with a 585, Uranus, you're not gonna fit it. You'll be lucky, you're just gonna get the core. So if that's the case, then looking at an IMX 571.
Check the tube text.
Yep. So let's just take a look here. Let me see. An IMX 571 color.
Yeah, $14.99. That's a great deal for that
great
sensor.
Deal. Yep. So far, we have the reducer camera, and we have the refractor and the mount. So we're at just under 5,800. Now, at some point outside of this, you are going to need some sort of guiding. So you're going to need a guide scope. So for something like this, we go back to astronomy.tools and we go to our calculators. We could do a couple of things. We could look at an an OAG if we wanted to and stay within, that would probably keep us within budget, or we can look at a direct guide scope. So here we're still going to stick with our star wave. And we don't have tube tech in here, I don't believe. So
they don't have it in there? I'm surprised they don't.
No, but
you pull it up as the no, do use the Altair. It's probably closest to the Altair. 26C.
26C. Okay, so there we go. There's that. And this is 0.8. Okay. Now, if we stuck with an off-axis guider,
they're $160 for the tube tech version.
Yep, that's what I'm looking. That's what I was looking at. So you have an off-axis guider, and it's this is a large M48, right? Yep. So we can go that route. Now we're at 5,900, and we're still gonna need a camera. So, I'm gonna go with, say,
CPCM OS 020. $160.
See what they have here.
There you go, $99.
$99. There you go.
IMX 225. That's a color. I mean, if you want a mono, what's the 462 go for mono?
219.
It's a little more expensive.
A little more expensive, and then you have the 224. But let's just go with the IMX 225 guide camera. And let's see where we are with suitability. We're still using Altair. Most likely we're going to be at 1-to-1, a 1-to-1 ratio, since we are using
native focal length.
the native focal. Yes. You're most likely going to be at whatever camera, most likely whatever camera you use, you're going to be at least a little at a 1-to-1. You're going to be at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you're going to be fine. So guiding, you'll be able to see plenty of guide stars and you should be just fine there. So we are with camera, a guider, off-axis guider, guide camera, an IMX 571 color, the reducer for your scope. You have your scope, an 80 ED Apo Altair, and a harmonic drive and a harmonic drive mount. You are just over, before tax, over $6,000. That does not include a computer or necessarily any filters, but just the primary equipment, you are at that $6,000 mark. So what do you guys think? Scott, what do you think for something like this?
Yeah, I mean that looks like a pretty good way to start. Is there any is ZWO the only camera company that has the guiding camera built into their
I believe so.
Yes, they are.
Right now. Yes, they are right
ones.
Yep, they are. As of right now.
And it's on the
And it
2600.
Yep,
it's on the 2600, and it's probably like $2,800 just for that camera.
Yeah.
Where that tube text, how much was it?
14.
1,500. Yeah, $1,500.
Yeah, $1,500. That's a great deal.
So just a list of all the equipment you use to make that image. You gave me a headache, Keith said. I know, right? Dan will love us if we bought this. But yeah, Thomas, definitely, if we went with the 100, it will definitely handle all this. And if we went with that, so just for argument's sake, let's just take a look at.
Yeah, if you go down and step it down to the 100, then you have enough room to put a Stella Vita or what do they call it on there. But at the same time, the 150, once you get that, then you can go, a much bigger scope. You say you want, a bigger telescope.
Yep.
You'll still have the camera and all that stuff to go with it. All you need is a bigger scope, and it'll fit right on that mount without any problem. You could get a C8, and it'll work on that mount, and you can still use the 571 and your OAG.
And if we went with the Tube Stick Stella Vita, $349. Now you could look at getting maybe a filter. You're at 57.57.
Oh, yeah. You get an Altair tri-band or quad band filter.
Quad band, yep. So if we went with
the quad bands.
Yep. Let's take a look, see. There we go.
The NBZ.
So you have a quad band filter here for one-shot color. At that, boom. Now you can do some narrow band imaging with that one-shot color. You've got and you are just under 6,000.
And it's stuff that it's light enough, easy to travel with.
Easy
If you
to
want
travel
to take
with.
it to a dark sky site where, if you're doing, broadband,
Boom.
you don't need a filter. You won't need a filter.
Yep.
So in fact, you probably got room to put a light pollution filter in there too. If you don't want to, if you're doing it at home and you're semi-light polluted, you can also add probably a light pollution filter in there as well.
So, and if we did that,
yeah, that the Altair makes that RGB filter.
yep. So
which is like a light pollution filter. Yeah, there you go. Try RGB.
at that, so you're a little over. So you're a little over. But still well within budget.
And covers a huge range of what you can do.
Yep. So we view the cardigan. You have an RGB tri-band light pollution filter. You have a quad band for narrow band imaging. You've got a TubeTech astrophotography computer, the Skywatcher Wave 100 strain wave, which will handle that Euro setup very easily. You've got your guide camera, your OAG. You've got your imaging camera, 571. So yeah, I mean, you are set. So let me just refresh this here again. So it's basically
what was the telescope?
The telescope is an
80 millimeter triplet.
80 millimeter
from Altair.
Yep. Star Wave.
What was the focal length on that?
Believe
460 native, I think it said. But with the 0.8 reducer, it's probably going to take down to like 385.
And how much was that?
$1,200.
$200.
Okay.
$200.
So if you want to jump up in quality, go to a William Optics. Similar scope would be like the Fluorostar 91.
Yes. And if we went there,
I've got it right here. So it's a triplet apochromatic prime lens, 540 millimeter focal length, 91 millimeter diameter, f5.9 image cycle, 43 millimeter.
Yep.
And that scope is just shy of $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I love it. That's my refractor. And
yeah. What do the GT81s go for now? $1,800.
Something like that.
GT81 is $1,498.
Yeah. So if you get the older model, the
version,
GT81 the version 3 or version 4, you're at $1,600. If you get the wide, the WIFD, it's on sale. It's a holiday sale.
So now I have a question with that one.
Price
doesn't require. Oh, it does require a flat, doesn't it? A flat.
It does. Yeah, you still get a flattener.
But just has the
here. But look, if you do it now, the flattener's free.
That's a bargain.
That is a deal.
That is a deal.
That is a deal.
Which one?
So the thing about that though, that moves the glass internally, right? That
it
focuser.
Does. It does. Which is nice.
Is it?
You're talking about the GT?
Well, yeah. So you don't have to fight vignette. You don't have to fight necessarily like I believe vignetting or anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the GT and the Pleiades both have focusers like that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they had the Williams internal focusers. Because the 68, that's 2,100 for that. And an FLT 91, you're at $2,000. So this GT wide field,
That's the best deal right there.
that's the best deal right there.
1,500 with a free flattener.
Yep, with a free flattener. And here,
Go to overview to your
Yeah.
right.
wanted
top.
to, your focal length is 498 millimeters. You're at f5.9. You get the flat.
And the flat is one time.
Yeah, it's a one time. It's a straight flattener.
Oh, you could get one or the other.
Yep.
So you can get the 68.3 one time. It requires an adapter, but
Yep. Yeah. But here, oops, stop. But or you can get the reducer, the 6A Mark III, the 6A3 version.
That's the one I have.
Yeah, and I have that. I've got the flat 683 flattener. And this takes full frame, the image format as far as the imaging circle.
Oh yeah, you can put a full frame on that.
Put a full frame in here, no problem. It'll handle that 571 without an issue. It's only just under 8 pounds. The total weight, 10 pounds.
That's pretty good.
This is the deal.
You see the bundle deals that they have for the GT81, the 4. It's got the bundle deal. It includes the case. It has the flattener and the Uniguide 32 millimeter.
Take a look at this.
That's 1568.
68. Now there you go. Now see, this is even a better deal. And this is
it comes with the guider. Oh,
yeah, with the guider, comes with the flattener.
Oh, that's an incredible deal.
This is a fantastic deal.
And that is an awesome scope.
Yeah. And William Optics is a scope that you probably will never wind up selling.
Nope,
don't start that. Don't go there. Don't go there. I've already learned that lesson.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. Did I touch a nerve?
Yeah, don't go there.
He had to buy it back.
So here you get.
You know what? Mine came in silver. They don't make the silver one, I guess, anymore. I got the silver one. Anymore.
But you get a 0.8 reducer flattener.
That's the same kit that I've got pretty much. And I don't have the Uniguide though.
You get the Uniguide. This is a good deal.
Yeah, and that little guider will fit right on top of that.
Yep.
Fits right in that handle.
Right in the handle.
Yeah, that Vixen.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. That is a sexy scope.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So all that for 1,600 bucks.
1,600 bucks.
And then you can get rid of the OAG, the guide camera.
Well, you still need the guide camera.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so, but you can get rid of the OAG.
You can get rid of the OAG. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, no.
So the question is which guide camera? Are you looking at something like the 120 or the 290 or?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You get the 120 or.
Yeah, I would say like the 290 or 220, something like that, because they don't make the 290s anymore. But the 220, yeah. It's great. Get the 220.
What's the other one? The 462?
Something like that. Yeah.
462 from TubeTech's only 179 bucks. That's not too bad.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's, I'm trying to see, it doesn't say.
So here you can do this. And so if you're talking, this is just under 1,600. Let me go back to
1568. Would normally be 1911.
Yep.
Great handgun, by the way.
Oh, yes, they are.
So here, you could get rid of this guy, rid of the OAG. Yeah, keep the 225. 46. And maybe even look at a different filter. You could look at a different filter set if you wanted to. But you have the light pollution filter and you have the quad. So you're at 4,600 there. So 4,627 plus. So
you're a little over, 53.
yeah, and then you've
I'm
got
sorry, 63, something like that. 64.
Jeez.
And you're getting a keeper.
Yeah, you're getting a keeper.
Something you'll always have.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the first time
A
you
little
put
over. So yeah, so you're basically before taxes and everything, you're at
you're right there.
You're right there.
And I think that's a better scope.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I would agree. So invest a little bit more, and yeah, boom, you're right there. And this is a scope. Don't sell it.
No.
Don't do what I did. So yeah, no. All right, we are pretty much at time. So let's take a look at image of the week. So let me go
And if
back.
you really want to pop wood on a scope, you can look at the Pleiades 181.
Yeah.
Oh, they have that?
Yeah, it's $19,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 1,000 millimeter. Yeah, it's a beauty.
what's it weigh?
Yeah, 19,000.
What's it weigh?
Oh, it's gotta be a ton.
35,
Weight
40
is
pounds.
33 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. So we only had an experience bracket this week. No novices entered. So let's take a look see at our results. Well, real quick, let me just take a look see so we can recap. We only had 2 entries. We had April Moon at Dusk by Keith from his Sea Star. And the Crescent Nebula by Tom Peter. So
Tomas.
our winner is from 24 votes. Mr. Tom Peter.
TP.
Congratulations. So nice. Congratulations, sir.
It was that 2 scopes, 2 cameras.
Yeah, that multi-blend. So there you go. Congratulations there, Tom. All right, we've got one final week for May for image of the month. Because next Friday is May 30th, so that's going to be our last one for May. So get out there, get imaging, or if you've got images that you want to throw out here for the novice, let's see some novice entries. Drop them in tomorrow, and we would love to have more novice entries. So let's do that. Well, we had a good conversation. We put together a very nice rig that I think would last forever. I think you would be somebody would be totally happy taking that and traveling with that, going anywhere and everywhere with that, and have a lot of fun using that rig. So for just over $6,000. So I would be happy with that setup. for sure. And it's lightweight, so it will grow with you. You can take it on a plane, no issues, anything like that. So I think that would be awesome.
It's always smart to invest in good glass, you know. You never regret, you know, good lenses. I've got lenses that are 20 years old that are just as good today as they were when I bought them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Same with filters.
Some would say they don't make them like they used to, Scott.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. So, all right. So, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it on this Friday. I hope you guys have a great 3-day weekend, spending time with your families, friends, and starting off summer right. Super Dave, final thoughts?
No, great rig you put together. That's definitely something. I mean, I have the GT81. I love it. Wouldn't trade it for the world. It's going to get back on the back in the saddle here once we get into wider nebula regions, and again, excited to get back to using it.
Yeah.
You know, as far as the mount, you know, that new Skywatcher mount, I'm sure is pretty good. Everything I've owned Skywatcher has been fantastic. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty well done.
Yeah, I like the rig. I think that's an excellent way to start. You know, you get a good harmonic mount. You get a good piece of glass in that the OTA. You know, that you can't beat that William Optics stuff. You just can't. You know, it's awesome equipment. And
Well, not for that price.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. You can buy a tack that, but you're not going to pay that price. It's going to be
Yeah, I mean,
times as much.
there's just no way. You know, that's just amazingly good stuff that will last you forever.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about it, and as long as you take care of it, you don't do something stupid.
Yeah.
You'll be good. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Come check out our new videos on Astro Playground, by the way. We're putting more stuff up. I just put up a new one, so
Nice. Awesome. Looking forward to it, man. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for us on AstroWorld TV. Thank you again for hanging out with us. If you like this show, you like what we're doing here, putting together rigs, sharing insight in astrophotography, and everything in between, you know, having fun and hanging out and just having a good time doing what we do. Don't forget, you're always welcome. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know how we're doing in the comments, all of that stuff. And again, congratulations there, Tom, on your image of the week. Keith, your image of the month, you know. So congratulations, Greg. It's you as well. So as always, keep imaging, keep educating, clear skies, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. So take care, everybody.
bye for now. Peace.